back and listening to this on YouTube, or maybe you're watching this live on YouTube, thank you. Go ahead and send this link out to everybody that you know, everybody in the entire world. Dr. Chapa, how's it going this morning?
Oh,
What's up?
Guardy, I'm telling you, it's going to be a glorious day. I love, I think it was in Mary Poppins, and if I'm wrong, but they asked the old ship captain up on top, how's it going, Captain? He goes, glorious day, Mrs. Bettycoat, glorious.
Yeah.
So today's going to be a glorious day, guys. Glorious.
That's
so
it.
Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, if this is a time for you to, you're catching the repost of this event, we want to make sure that you know that we are on Spotify, we are on iTunes, we are definitely more than ever reaching out into the community, trying to get a message of hope, healing, and wellness to all people that are listening that need help with all aspects of their health. Yesterday, I had just the craziest day in the world. I had, the first patient that called the office, not even a patient really, just a person looking for help, was abandoned by her psychiatrist and no medications, and she's having suicidal thoughts. And I'm like, wow, like, Lord, you're bringing that to me today. And then the post-traumatic stress of COVID, the post-traumatic stress of the uncertainties of life, the post-traumatic stress of what people are dealing with and how they're going to manage and navigate the waters. We're on the shallows right now. We've got to get back into the deep where we can sail off into the sunrise, sunset, and enjoy the terrain again. We all are navigating the terrain. And how you navigate that terrain needs to come first through medicine. How is that medicine? Food is the best medicine. Food is the only medicine. And if you're reaching to medications, if you're reaching to drugs, if you're reaching to alcohol, if you're reaching to anything other than Jesus Christ and food, you are going to find yourself empty-handed. And I'm telling you, I'm not saying that there's not a place for pharmaceutics, but the problem is it is so abused. The opioid crisis is higher than ever. The people are suffering needlessly. People don't know where to turn. They don't know what to do. And we, Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, want to help as many people as possible find their path, find their way, help them one bite at a time, get back to the basics of life, health, and nutrition through food. All life starts and stops, Gardy, at the cellular level. And nutrition is the fundamental backbone that allows your body to spiral off out of control or to get traction and move forward in a positive direction.
Do you remember that song? It's like, we need to get back to the basics of life. That old CCM song.
It's a little. It was a jingle, right?
I don't know, but it just, whenever you said that, get back to the basics of life. You need to start at the foundation, and whatever you build.
That's right.
You build with.
And I think that is true on so many levels. Like, we need to build our lives on the rock of Jesus Christ as a foundation for your spirit life. We need to build our lives on the biochemical modulation of life from a food perspective. What are you fueling your body with? One of my biggest complaints, one of my biggest frustrations, one of my biggest challenges right now is helping people realize we did not just have a famine, we just had a pandemic. Like, this whole thing was, this whole idea of, like, if you're in an evacuatory situation, you got to just throw canned goods into an ice chest or whatever you can grab to get out of town. That's a famine situation. You grab things that don't go bad, that you can get to the next destination. But, shipping never stopped. Food supply never stopped. People tell me that, I can't find this and I can't find that. But yet I go to the store and I can find it. So I don't know if I'm shopping at, different places, and I don't feel like I am. I'm at the mainstream box stores that you're going to.
Where are you shopping, Dr. Chapa? Because, we've been talking about at the beginning of this month, eat this, not that. But where are you shopping? You shopping at Target, the Walmarts?
No, sir. I'm over at, the farmer's market. I'm at the HEBs. I'm at the Krogers that, that have produce, that have turkey, that have chicken, that have fish. And so I'm reaching, into these areas. And notice I didn't say I'm going down the grain aisle. I'm not looking at the bread aisle. I'm not looking at the cookies, the pastries, the candies, and the processed food, the junk food. I read something this morning. It just makes me so, sad that this is legal. But to say some of these processed boxed cereals are heart healthy whenever it has so much sugar in it that is causing your coagulation, your atherosclerosis, your arteriosclerosis, your heart dysfunction. And we call that heart healthy. That's mislabeling. That's lying. And we've gotten so far away from the truth, Gardy, of what it takes to eat well, live well, and know what real food is. And a part of what this month's about, eat this, not that, is to give people an option and an opportunity to see that there is food that they can consume that doesn't have to be loaded with carbohydrates, famininous foods. It doesn't have to be loaded with refined sugars, famininous foods. It doesn't have to be loaded with additives or alcohol or processed food, the fake foods of life. All of these categories are what we call the fake foods of life. And fake food, make-believe food, leads to one thing and one thing only. Garley, what is it?
That's make-believe health.
That's make-believe health. That's
ding,
right.
ding.
Ding, ding, ding. You win, sir. Good job. I'm so proud of you.
I have a question. Whenever it comes to the heart-healthy cereals and the grains, how they label that on there, are they comparing it to something else? Like it's heart healthier than if you were to eat like a donut or something? Or how do they label that?
So what I would say is industrialized marketing today is it's backed up by marketing dollars to promote an agenda or a product. And when you do independent studies, for example, the artificial sugars market, if you go and if I am an artificials manufacturer and I'm paying a commercial to promote my company, I expect them to be positive about what I'm saying.
Right. Like I'm reading my can, and this has artificial sweetener in it, right?
Right. Yeah. So, and what happens is when you put artificial ingredients or cheap products, even though it might be good, like that might have ginseng. Well, ginseng is very valuable. But what if that's the root and you need the leaf? What if that's the stem and you need, the root? And the problem is they're just getting the cheapest, herbal ingredient probably possible. And that's true because a lot of times you'll find these dyes like red dye, blue dye, yellow dye, which by the way, you die when you do that. And so we don't want to be putting in fake make-believe food because why would we expect our engine to run on anything less than the best? Why do we put in make-believe food, right? And so these industrialized manufacturers have an agenda. Bottom line, money,
dollars,
sales. They want to make a move, and they want to get things happening. And so they are absolutely promoting their product. So the artificial industry, sugars industry, is known neurotoxins. They're known problems in the body. They disrupt. People that are on diet products have an increased chance of gaining weight, not losing weight. It stresses out your kidneys. It stresses out your adrenal glands. It causes confusion in your body. And now your body's chemistry factory that should be processing the natural environment is now having to process all this artificial make-believe stuff and the environment. Well, that now becomes a biochemical stress. Well, today it doesn't affect you. Tomorrow it might not affect you. Maybe not even at the end of the week. But 25 years from now you got cancer. 25 years from now, you got the shakes, what we call the rolling pill syndrome, Parkinsonian type symptomatology. You might have this dementia issue setting in where your brain fog is setting in and you just can't think clearly. Your words don't come out right and your body just isn't performing at the level that you want it to. And so I try to help people recognize and realize that make-believe food is not your friend. It will cause your body to decline more rapidly than it should. Now, you might be okay with it. Some people look at my diet and they judge me. And they say, I just can't eat like that. I just don't want to eat, so regimented. Well, why? You put the same gas in your car, right? I mean, 89 octane, 87 octane, you probably pick one of the two.
I was going to say, to be fair, I usually go with the less expensive.
I do too.
Yeah.
I put the less expensive, but I asked the manufacturer, what's the best gas I should put in my car? They said, this car, 87 octane, whatever the less expensive one is. We designed it that way. That's what the science showed us, whatever. And so, and I'm like, okay, great. So I put that in there. Now, and so why would we think that our body needs all this variety? They've already proven variety leads to gluttony. I mean, how else do you eat, 2 tubs of popcorn, a Coke, and a box of candy at a movie theater? You know what I mean? How do you go to a restaurant and eat, a salad, a soup, a vegetable, a potato, and a meat, and a dessert? How do you do that?
Have you been following me?
Maybe. I'm everywhere,
it's easy.
Gardy. Gardy, I'm after you, sir.
Looking over my shoulder left and
Look,
right.
I got to take care of my people.
Yeah.
I got to take care of my tribe. I walked into a restaurant the other night because I want you to know, occasionally give myself a cheat meal where I stress my metabolism and I try to get it to work with crazy food. And I try to keep it real, but at restaurants, man, they're gonna put bad oils in it. They're gonna put the cheap oils, right? They're not gonna use your olive oils, your avocado oils, because that's expensive. So their bottom line just went up, and then they don't make as much cash on the backside, and that's not gonna fly, right? Because they're in the business to do what?
To make money.
Make monies, and I totally respect and get it. This is why America's America, or should be America, where we have the ability to make dollars and make ends meet and profit and grow and create. That is America, and now it's changing. It's seemingly less and less like that America, but at the end of the day, that was what it was originally designed for, in my opinion. And so, we've got to recognize that just because marketing says it's good for you doesn't mean it's good for you. I saw this other, guy talking, this medical doctor talking about functional medicine and health, and he was saying that he was on a TV show, and they had a teleprompter telling the person how to promote dairy products. Well, dairy products is so well documented that it is not a health food, especially as it's been, abused, adulterated, mutated, mutilated. In the laboratories. We're pumping these cows full of hormones. We're pumping these cows full of grain, which they're not designed to eat, by the way. They are grass-fed cattle. That's what they should be eating, not grains. Grains just fatten them up. Grains get stuck in their digestive tract. It slows down their digestive motility. Their body then starts to putrefy or rot the food inside of them. And guess where that stuff is stored, Gardy? It's stored in the meats that we're buying. And now we wonder why we have hormone problems as humans. As men, we get man boobs and pot bellies. And as women, why we have hot flashes and mood swings, and we're cranky and irritable, and all of us have brain fog, and then we're fighting, and then our fuse gets short because our digestive tract is irritated. And people don't realize that an irritated and irritable digestive system leads to anxiety. An irritable digestive system leads to stress in every aspect of your body, and it backs up into the liver. It backs up into the lymph, and then it circulates around. The body says, that can't happen. So it's got to find secondary exit strategies to get this trash out of you. And oftentimes, by that time, Elsie's getting slaughtered. And then they say, well, then her milk's not very good anyway because we did all that to her. But how else are we going to get 4 gallons out of a cow that's only supposed to produce 1 gallon a day or something? And then we look at, they then homogenize it and pasteurize it, and then they add more antibiotics to it, and by the time we get it to market, it's just a water painted white with a bunch of chemicals in it. You know what I mean? And we call that healthy. In the 80s they said it does a body good. In the 90s they said, got milk? Well, I'm here to tell you, man, I could build a whole practice on taking people off of dairy products: milk, cheese, yogurt, sour cream, ice cream, whey protein. I don't agree with that model. It's not a food, But I can say stuff like that, and because my office, my clinic, my experience in the trenches is telling me that. There's no teleprompter here, is there? Is there one in behind you? I need to know, because I don't see it.
We have an app for a teleprompter on this iPad,
we
but
should try
we do
it
not
one day.
use it.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So, but for me, I never teach from hard science. I am not I got some papers for this to prove this stat and that stat, because the reality is I've just read a book called How to Lie with Statistics, and it's so disturbing. It's so sad. Who in the world would deceive the people? And there are people that, come on. Like, it is crazy. There's too many variables. There's too much uncertainty in the biochemistry. If you put 3 medications together, you put 3 wrong substances, fake foods in the body, your body's biochemical makeup and factory you can't predict the amount of chemical reactions taking place. So going back to the conversation, a regimented, fueled diet is much more safe and predictable in getting results that you want out of life, which means if you've got belly pain, if you've got anxiety, if you've got depression, if you've got post-traumatic stress, if you've got heart issues, if you've got lymphatic congestion, if you've got skin rashes, these are all things that can be dealt with. Now, people come in and say all the time to me, I got a pretty good diet. And I look at them and say, I want to say, I don't actually say this, really? You have a good diet? Did you see the paperwork you filled out? You scored 150 on a test you should have gotten less than a 10 on. You know what I mean? That's a toxicity questionnaire. You're toxic. You've got symptoms coming out your ears. Like your body is malfunctioning every which way to Sunday. Are you? Come on. Why? Let's not deceive ourselves.
I think they're judging their diet off of maybe a loved one or a friend's diet. Like, well, my diet's not as bad as theirs. That's kind of how we do
traditional. Go to the grocery store and look at everybody else's basket.
Mine's better than that.
Yeah. Mine's better than that, right? And look, I'm not ever going to say that I have the perfect diet. I really want to say that on, so that just to set the record straight. I don't get locked in to that kind of dogma because what works for Dr. Chapa might not work for you. But how are you going to know until you try it? And when you're instructed what to do, this happens all the time. Is they say, well, but I was eating this in addition because that's what I felt I needed to do. Oh, okay. But was it on the diet? Like, is that what we talked about? Oh, no. But I just felt like that's what I need to do. Okay. So you can't expect to get down the road if you don't want to listen to your coach. We all need to be coached. We talked about that a little bit last month, how valuable it is to have mentors in our life, coaches in our life, people that can instruct us and lead us and guide us. And I want to do that. I want to help people navigate the terrain, but also helping them realize it's your life. It's your health. It's your choice. And you can follow. And in the beginning, man, you should be as regimented and as strict as you possibly can with following the way. How the Mandalorian, this is the way. Mm-hmm. And follow the way, follow the path. I submit to people's training. I submit to people's coaching and teaching. Why? Because a doctor who finds himself a patient finds himself a fool for a doctor and a patient. Don't try to doctor yourself. Don't try to think for yourself in regards to your own health. Let somebody else evaluate you. Let somebody else pick you apart and be okay with that. Be okay that that's what you're paying, for, that type of scrutiny, so that somebody else can help you see past your own delusions. Because no one wants to look in the mirror and judge thyself, But that's where we need to be first focused on. You can't change anybody. I can't change you. You can't change me. A person convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. So I'm not here to convince you. I'm here to educate you and give you things to think about, things to attempt to try, to put into the system so that your body performs differently. And then you can make it your own decision. Jim Rohn, not the sports commentator, the one that's he's long past. He's a motivational speaker, great, unbelievably well-spoken gentleman, and one that I aspire to be as good at formulating my bucket of words into a message that is valuable to the people. He'd always would say, that make sure whatever conclusion you come to, it's your own conclusion. Come to your own conclusion, with good information. Don't delude yourself. Come to your own conclusion through trial and error and through the wisdom and experiences of others. They say a wise person learns from his own mistakes, but a genius learns from the mistakes of others and the successes. So for me, since I've been 13 years old, I've been praying, Lord, let me learn from the mistakes of others, because I personally don't like suffering. Do you like suffering, Gardy?
No, it's not good.
I don't think anybody that's listening today, and please, chime in. Give us some input. Let us know what you're thinking. And if you like this show, please share it out. Give it to other people. But do you like to suffer? No. Nobody wants to suffer. And so if you know people that are suffering with symptom patterns they were not genetically born with, let them know Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center right here in League City. We can reach out via phone, teledoc, and or live in-house appointments where you can come in and be evaluated, and we can work with you one-on-one. We can guide you one-on-one, or you can come to our monthly classes where you can get educated. Next week, we have our Eat This, Not That class, and we are so excited. Like we're going to be doing it on Zoom, just this month, and then next month we're hoping to evolve that forward into our in-house and Zoom model, so we can hit multiple platforms, because life is we're going to get back to living. We're going to get back to getting things going. But if you are suffering with something other that you were not genetically born with, I want you to know you're a patient that needs to be in my office.
So right now it is 9:29. This is KHEAradio.com, 99.5 FM. We're streaming live on Facebook, and most people know that. But did you know we stream live on YouTube? You know who did know? Dr. Chapa, your daughter, because she's watching on YouTube, and she said to tell you hi.
Hey, baby girl, what are you doing, you stinker? I love you.
So you can do that. Watch from YouTube on KHEA Radio's YouTube, and also you can watch live from Living Well Clinical Nutrition's YouTube as well. So there's multiple ways to get this. A lot of the time we find out that Facebook and certain social media pages are blocked from like hospitals and maybe some schools or colleges. So this is an opportunity for you to check it out live. You can go back and watch it, after the fact as well, but there's something about live because you can just ask the questions and be in the mix of it. So share it out. Let us know what you got going on today, and don't forget that you can watch us on YouTube as well.
There's no question. And guys, we do this show every week, and it's really awesome because I've always wanted to do this. I was always timid to share a message because I didn't want the scrutiny of the public. I want to fly under the radar, because I just, some of the stuff I talk about, it's weird.
It's not popular.
Yeah, it's upstream. So I just had to finally, I might very well be even this week, last month, through this whole, pandemic experience, come to this place where I'm learning, as I hope all of you are learning, to be comfortable right where you're at. Because right where you're at isn't necessarily better than where somebody else is, and right where you're at necessarily isn't beneath where somebody else is. It's just the fact, simply stated, you are where you are. And so if you are where you are and you are suffering, struggling, dealing with stuff that you don't like, don't want, and would like to see change, then you need to change something in your life. You can't expect to do the same thing over and over again and expect anything different. Isn't that true?
Mm-hmm.
What do they call that?
It's insanity.
Insanity, right? So we need to change the input. We need to change the social circle. We need to change the environment biochemically. We need to change the books that we're reading or start reading or need to be reading. And if you need help with this, we posted on last couple weeks video, top 10 list, different things to post. And I'm constantly avidly throwing things into the mix. And when people speak to me, God, I use it as like the signs of life. God is always winking. God, I call it God prints. His God prints are all over aspects of my life. And when somebody comes in and they ask me, they speak a word of life into me, I go jot it down. If they write a book to me that I need to hear. Just for example, I had 3 times in my life, and this is over the last 2 years, this has been spoken, and the last time was 3 weeks ago, that Dr. Chapa, I think you're a visionary. That's the word. And whoa, wow, what a compliment. But I don't really know what to do with that. 2 years ago, wasn't sure how to handle that. Okay, Lord, what does that mean? Okay, I don't know. And then I just chalk it back, right? You just kind of forget that that's actually going on. And then fast forward, a year later, I do this personality profile for somebody that's evaluating me because, again, I put myself under scrutiny so that people can tell me where my blind spots are, and I don't get offended when people tell me that, I suck at something. Instead, I just say, hey, how do I get better? It's okay. First, recognizing that I have an area to improve in, I ask for help, and I learn from the wisdom and successes and failures from others' experiences. And then the test came back that one of my personality profile traits is I'm a visionary. And I'm like,
shocker.
I'm like, oh my, what? There's that word again.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
And then literally 2-3 weeks ago, again, didn't know what to do with it, kind of just stuck it up on the back burner, whatever. And I hear, this pastor comes in to my office, and he goes, I want you to know something. The first time I met you, I thought I heard it. The second time, I'm certain I heard it. The Lord told me to tell you that you're a visionary. And that when just like Wayne Gretzky, everybody know who Wayne Gretzky is, right? He's the famous hockey player. He always skated to where the puck was going, not where the puck was. And that's why he was his claim to fame. And so having a vision, making it clear on tablets, just like the Bible says, and going towards that vision, What do you want your life to look like after you've done built it? What do you want your health to look like after you've done built it? Who are you going to incorporate into your circle to help lead you forward? And are you going to be a good student when they tell you what to do? How high to jump? How hard to push? How disciplined, regimented are you willing to be? How much water do you need to drink? 1 liter per 50 pounds of body weight. Are you going to start your day with breakfast? Don't get dogmatic. Be opportunistic. Hey, I'm willing to try that. I'm willing to, okay, that's not working, doc. Let's try something different. Can we try a different diet? Yes, let's try this. Hey, I see this. Are you putting anything in your diet? Be honest with yourself. Don't skew the results because you're afraid of being chastised or disciplined or get your feelings hurt. Be open to the process of scrutiny in a healthy way, and you will grow, and your body will develop. And things that you have developed that are disease-oriented will undevelop. And when they begin to undevelop, you'll start seeing the success that you're looking for. Your mind will be clear. Your body will be free of symptoms. And all of a sudden, you'll be like, this is how I should be feeling all the time. What am I doing? And then you look back and say, oh, I'm eating like this. I'm having this many bowel movements a day. I'm drinking this much water. I'm getting this much sleep. This is the pattern that my body is shifting into. They've done studies in people in prisons. And when you change a murderer's diet, when you change the aggressive behavior of these prisoners, they see a complete transformation in their behavior. Interesting. Are you telling me that food is influencing personality? What if your kids are given to you, if you have kids, or so if you don't have kids, we don't want to separate you. So your best friends, your social circles, mentors, leaders, what the Bible calls, everybody needs a Paul. You need somebody to speak life into you. You need somebody that's going to hold you accountable. You need somebody that's going to press you and push you and mold you into something better. Okay? If you don't have one of those, pray for one. The Lord Jesus will give you one, I promise. But when he shows up, make sure you're ready, because he might say some things that are hard. He might get in your face. He might challenge you on many fronts, and welcome it as a good student would, and learn from it. Every one of us needs a Timothy. We need somebody that we're mentoring and guiding and moving, through the process. And we need somebody, really, it's more fun when you have laborers alongside you, Titus. And so the Bible talks about 3 types of persons. You got your Paul, you got your Timothy, so people that are mentoring you, people that you're mentoring, and then you've got people that are running the race at your level, and you're pressing forward. And one of the things that they see, with food and behavior, is that what if your kids are given to you to challenge you? God networked them together. He wired them together, right? And your kids are pressing you. Your friends, family, and loved ones are pressing you. And some of them irritate you, some of them burn you, some of them love you, some of them support you, some of them hug you, some of them challenge you, whatever it is, right? But what if some of those behaviors that we see in our surrounding circles are all behaviors directly influenced by input? What they're drinking, what they're eating, what medications they're on, what kind of music they're listening to, what kind of words they're putting into their head, what kind of movies they're watching, what kind of news they're watching. You know what I mean? Guys, more than ever, I pray in the name of Jesus, belt of truth, put it around your waist. Shod your feet with the boots of peace. Put your breastplate of righteousness on. Put your helmet of salvation on. Guard your mind. Guard your heart. Walk with confidence and peace, and then pick up your sword of the Spirit, which is the Word of God, and your shield of faith, so that you can extinguish the flaming darts of the evil one. You better know beyond a shadow of a doubt, we're fighting a bigger battle. So eat this, not that. Eat food that gives you life. Stop eating food that causes destruction in your body and destruction in your world. Stop eating mental food, spiritual food that is destroying your life. If you don't like where you're at, change. And the only person, it's your life, your health, your choice. Only you can make that call. Only you can make that decision. It's up to you. And I pray if you feel in a hopeless spot, you'll give us a call, 281-554-8600, and get on our books. Get in our office. Let us evaluate you. Let us put you under the microscope. Let us put you in the hot seat. Let us help you find your path. We want to be there for you. And guys, I've had patients come in suicidal. that was on 7 psychiatric medications for 27 years, and they sat on my table bawling because they, for the first time, as long as they can remember, they didn't have suicidal thoughts.
Here's a question. This is from Tammy, and she said, "What is a good personality test to take?" What personality test did you take?
I've taken a lot. So let me see if I can remember. I don't actually. I'll see if I can get all those and post them later. But here's what I'll tell you: the first one I took that I've enjoyed the most is from Personality Plus, Florence Littire. That's a book, and she's got a personality profile in the front of the book, and then she talks about all the personalities. And really and truly, I've heard people, marriage counselors say, pastors say, leaders and gurus say that if a couple would read this personality profile, do the book, and go through the process and learning their own personality and learning the personality of their spouse, that domestic marital decline would stop. Because communication's better. Because you understand your partner. You understand your soulmate. You understand your helpmate. And you don't try to fix them. You appreciate them and their idiosyncrasies and recognize that God united man and wife together. And y'all can go down your path and you guys can live vibrantly all the days of your life. So I love that book because it talks about 4 different personality types and then has a whole dialogue, and it's crazy how accurate it is. I have a friend, he likes the Enneagram. Him and his wife did the Enneagram, and he discovered about himself he's a protector.
Is there like 7 of those, or how many is it?
7 or 8 or something.
Yeah.
Like it could be even, I haven't done that one yet. So
it's pretty cool.
There's one from Tony Robbins. You can go to Tony Robbins' website, and I don't know, maybe ask Kenley if she can ask Mommy to post the one that we did for one of our coaches recently from the Tony Robbins website. Tony Robbins is a motivational speaker. It was a free personality test online, and it gives you a really cool, itinerary, and that's the one that told me that I was a visionary. Then there's a disc profile that people like and work with. So I mean, really, guys, there's a bunch. I wouldn't say go off and do them all. I would start with one, learn one. Once you play with it for a year or 2, then go take another one. You know what I mean? Because what happens is if you jump to all 4 of them, they all say the same thing, but yet they're all using different vocabulary, so you get confused, lost in the weeds. Unnecessary. Pick one, go with it. I love Florence because it's like kind of the original manuscript, if you will, on personality profiling, and it's simple. It's like, for somebody that isn't needing all the hard, heavy science or doesn't want, some of the hard, the hard science of it, just wants to, hey, give me the application.
The info, yeah.
Yeah, let me use, how do I use this? And I think that's a great place to start personally. And but that was Florence Littire in Personality Plus. And just recognize that, all of knowing you and evaluating you is step 1. Because if you are the only one that can fix, you through your choices, through your thinking, and through your action on those choices, then you better make sure that you change your thinking if you don't have the results you want. Good, your thinking got you to where you are. So better thinking leads to better choices, better application, better results. And that's kind of where we start moving people through. And so when I've just look at food and I listen to people talking about how much value that food actually has in our body. Every system in our body, according to 1872 research from the osteopathic founder, says that every one of our systems are wired together. Every one of them. That means, guys, your cartilages in your knee is wired to your eyeballs. You know what I mean?
Wow, yeah.
That means that the blood flow it goes to everywhere. That means that your brain influences everything. Your lungs influence everything. What part of the watch tells time? Every membranous structure is interconnected so that your body performs and levels up well. And secondarily, that every system in your body works together to heal the brokenness of us, and God designed us to heal from the inside out, from the top of our head to the soles of our feet. So if you got a cut on your head at 2 years old and you get a cut on your head at 96 years old, guess what? It's going to heal if you've got the environment, the nutritional foundation, and to get well. And where do you get all those foundational, rocks and principles to heal? From the food you're eating, the minerals you're taking in, the vitamins you're taking in, the essential fatty acids that you're putting in your body, the water that you're drinking, the food that you're fueling this chemistry set with. And if you're thinking, well, but I got to have my pastry, I've got to have my candy bar, I've got to have my soda at 3 o'clock because I have an energy decline. There's a science right now. Again, remember that book I told you earlier about, how to lie with statistics. There are people that just make up stuff. I try to use analogies. So in a form, I make stuff up, but it's because I'm trying to protect the innocent, right? I'm trying to make a point. Jesus spoke in parables. Why did he do that? Because facts tell, stories sell. And I'm trying to sell you on an idea of a better version of you. I hate prevention, right? Or early detection. These prevention and early detection models, those don't work. Catching a cancer early isn't prevention. You know what I mean? Catching a bone issue early isn't prevention. You're already down the wrong path. Never getting it is root cause functional transformation medicine. And that's where I'm playing. There's 3 types of medicine. You've got the allopathic medicine, and the allopathic medicine is basically you come in because you have an illness. Let's define illness. What is an illness? Gardy, do you know?
I'm going to say it's something that is not working properly in your body or something foreign.
Right.
But I don't know.
Okay, it could be an infectious illness. It could be a diagnosable syndrome of illnesses like fatigue plus sleep disorders plus mood disorders. That could be a syndrome of sorts, It could be pain in the body. It could be now the newest syndromes are autoimmunity, which are a culmination of diagnoses. So it's like you got an ailment. An ailment goes to a symptom. A symptom goes to a diagnosis. A diagnosis then compounds because it's never treated at the root cause. Sorry, allopathic medicine, your drugs aren't working. And then that goes into a syndrome, a culmination of diagnoses, and now you've got autoimmunity. And then autoimmunity can breed off into who knows what. It can go into cancer, it can go into the brain loss, it can go into all this, what we call the pauses of life that we spoke about on previous show, where, in those previous shows, remember, you're only as young as your oldest part. And we all go through the continuum. We're all born, we all develop, we all decline, and we all die. Like, we all go through this process. But the decline can be slowed down. It can be stewarded. Remember, God has called us to be a good steward of the vessel. Remember my favorite passage? Romans 12:1. I beseech thee, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to him, which is your reasonable service. He's not asking for anything extraordinary. By the mercies we have life. We should want to offer this vessel back to him. Lord, look what I've done with your body. I've taken this broken earth suit, and I have done my very best to honor you with it in my word, my action, my deed. And if you don't feel good, how can you perform good? If you don't perform good, how you expect to live good? And then you start spiraling off down the slippery slope. So if we're a good steward of that decline, because we're all going to go through the decline, guys. And it's just the great circle. But let's maximize that the decline doesn't happen early in life. I want to be a centenarian, somebody that lives to be over 100 years old. They say that the centenarians don't get up and moving until 65 to 95. That their best years, they say, are between 65 and 95. My dad used to say that, he said a lot of things, but this particular one was that my brain would outlast my muscle any day of the week. So use your thinking brain, Chapa. God gave you a brain, son. I expect you to use it, he would tell me. And so, that's because I was probably doing something stupid, like shooting my brother with a BB gun. That might not have been the best decision I could have made that day. But,
Depends.
He deserved it, dang it.
Yeah.
And I was really impressed with myself that I shot him running. Shame on me, but it was fun. Oh,
That goes
well.
back to the Wayne the Gretzky, the hockey player. Don't
Yeah,
where they're gonna be.
That's right.
Just playing.
And being able to do that from a clubhouse, from a football field away, is awesome. So anyway, so the barrier of entry in allopathy is they come in and it's all symptom based. They treat the symptoms with medicine, and instead they should have gone upstream. These symptoms are arrested, so the person feels a brief moment of comfort, but then there's no change in the lifestyle. There's no change in the expression of the gene code. And then all of a sudden, that change begins to genetically alter the generational line. Because how can you expect to reproduce healthy, fruitful little ones when you have damaged, broken, abused, adulterated your own biochemical chemistry set?
Then you hand that down.
You hand that down.
Yeah.
And that's called Francis Pottinger's third generation cats. And right now, guys, we're dealing with a fourth generation Pottinger's cats, which is even worse. And that's why from the 70s to now, we have just massive slippery slope. Why? Processed food, carbohydrate overloaded food, refined food, additives and alcohol food or drink, and I already said the processed, but all the dyes, all the chemicals. And remember, I said if it's red dye, blue dye, yellow dye, you die. Sorry.
Yeah.
But get ready. You better be reading those ingredients. You got to get smart. You got to start reading. Look at the words. Don't assume because marketing says this is good. There's a product in Asia right now floating around that all the famous sports people over there are saying this is great. It's kind of like it's like a sports drink. We'll just call it that, okay? And so they hire these sports guys to promote this product, only to know that these products have the same sugar content as cola, soda, pop, whatever you call it. And dude, if you haven't figured it out yet, sugar is not even in the top 10 Dr. Chapa avoid foods. You know why? Tell me why, Gardy. Come on. Do you know? Why? Here's the question. And if anybody's got the answer, try to beat Gardy to the punch. Why is sugar not in my top 10 avoid list of food?
I think because it's everywhere and it's not artificial. Like it's actually a real thing, and a lot of the I don't know. I'm just talking.
All right, that's okay. Good
guess.
try. And I'm sorry to say, you're wrong. And I don't mean it ugly, but the reality is, sugar is not a food. It's so adulterated.
I knew
it's
that.
It's processed. It's on the chemical side of things.
Yeah.
Remember, we have 4 deadly food additives. We have a top 10 list of food to avoid, right? So I take people through removing inflammation foods and taking people off of the 4 deadly foods. And we will talk about these next week on our class. You better be tuning in. I believe it's next Tuesday night at 6:30. Somebody can, from my office can validate that is the time, and you don't want to miss it.
Candace and Vanessa, they both said it's not a food. Sugar's not a food. It
Come
can't be on the
good
list.
job, my peeps, right there. Good job, Vanessa. Good job, Candace. I mean, see, this is the game, guys. Like we got to be playing together. Like we've got to make this fun because the reality is I wish I had time to do this more often. I want to be on the show every day of the week.
I'm here every day of the week, Dr. Chapa.
Wouldn't it be so much fun? But the message I would be concerned would be old hat, because if you don't share this message and educate your friends, your family, your loved ones, and let other people indulge in the process, you're doing them a disservice. I want you to feel comfortable sharing, and I don't want you to ever think that you've got it. Always know that I'm in the trenches working. I'm always in the trenches learning and growing. I'm always in the trenches pushing myself to be better. And, man, I hope 10 years from now you guys come back to me and say, I have followed you for the last 10 years, and you have just gotten better, sharper, and more skilled every year. I'm so proud of you. I don't want to hear you say, man, you should have heard Dr. Chapa 10 years ago when he was really special.
In the prime.
I don't want to hear the prime. I want to be in the prime every day of my life. Praise
65
be to the Lord.
to 95.
That's right. So, and I'm only
Yeah.
40 right now. That means I'm not even touching close to my prime, praise God. And guys, and if you do catch me seemingly off, if you do see where I'm not on my A game, man, say a prayer for me. Come to me, ask me, talk to me, tell me, and because you know what? You might not realize it, but I'm approachable. And I have offended people by saying this, and I'll say it on air, is that, I am the best student that I know.
I'm offended. I'm just kidding. Sorry, Dr.
Of course you are. Of course you are. And I mean that humbly. I want to be an avid learner. I want to be the best student I know. Because if you want to be the best student you know, then change your perspective, change your thinking. Recognize that if you want to be successful in a particular field of study, in a particular job, in a particular way of doing things, find somebody that is living life at the level you want to be living and model it. Do what they're doing. Follow after what they're teaching and model it. And that is the best compliment you'll ever give somebody, by the way, is a form of flattery. But it's also the best recipe for success. Find somebody with success, perform the actions that got them into that successful position. You yourself will find yourself successful. And so I'm continually challenged to be a better. I had a lady, Molly, works in my office. Her mom and Molly are taking me through a top 10 list that they decided was a top 10 list for Dr. Chapa for classical education. And I'm going back and getting a classical education, and I'm getting my mind blown. I'm literally learning so much because I brought in something other than just health stuff, right? Because I love all this stuff, and I'm like addicted. And so by them being my classical model coaching, they're making me read things that I wouldn't have read on my own. They're challenging me spiritually. They're challenging me physically. They're challenging me mentally, and they're helping me build a better bucket of words. And then I can come onto a show and I can share that with you guys. And I mean, and ideas are just floating around in my head, and I just want to how do I package all this up? And that's my next challenge: is how do I package all this up and then give it back? Because one of my best mentors that I've ever had, Stuart White, he came alongside and he says, "Give it away, Chop." He goes, "Hoard nothing." One of my other great mentors, Dr. Rick Tillman, he come along he goes, the more you give out of your cup, the more God will fill it back up. Man, it's almost like these are godly principles, pressed down, shaken together. What's this?
Running over,
and so shall men keep giving unto you based on your level of giving, whatever. So give it away. Try with everything in your heart to try to outgive God, and God's just going to continually just show, yeah, nice try. Here you go, boom, and He's going to dump more and more and more through you and into you because you become an avid, willing, learned vessel that can be used for the hallowing of His name. Praise be to the Lord.
Speaking of sharing information, there was a question, and they want to know what's on your arm. What you got going on? Is that is that a tattoo?
Extensor carpi radialis. No, I'm about to take that off. So last week I was doing some exercises, and I overexerted some action in my forearm.
Tennis?
Yes. And I thought I hurt my wrist, and because the pain was in my wrist, and my coach goes, no, it's upstream. I'm over here freaking out about my wrist because ligament issues are as a chiropractor and a nutritionist, I can do nutrition all day long because it's all mental work, right? But doing the physical work that I do in my office, it can be a little bit stressful and a bit challenging. And so I braced it yesterday because I had a big day yesterday, and I wanted to make sure. So this is kinesio tape, and kinesio tape I have it taped up right now on the extensor carpi radialis, and basically what it does is it pulls your, that's the muscle that pulls your hand back and out, and this would be your classic, golfer's elbow, and so one of the things that's going on with this thing is, he said, well, look upstream. Duh, Chapa. Why didn't you look upstream? Why were you looking at the symptom? Because a doctor who finds himself a patient, finds himself a fool for a patient and a fool for a doctor. Don't be your own doctor. Thank you, whoever asked that question. It's a great time to help hold me accountable. So he said, look upstream. I went up here, and I pressed around where I knew the origin insertions or the origin of that muscles came in, and I literally pressed on a spot in this extensor carpi radialis muscle, and it literally, it flared up my wrist. I didn't even touch my wrist. And I go, praise God. And you go, why would you praise God for that? Because a muscle is so much easier to fix than a ligament.
Yeah.
So I've been just babying this a little bit and making sure that, I stay functional so I can keep exercising, so I can keep the blood flow coming into my body, and that I can keep adjusting and growing in my education there. So I have the wrist wrapped, and then I have the extensor carpi radialis taped. And what that does is that brings a level of stimulus to the area, aka blood flow. Blood flow is where nutrition come from. Blood flow is where detoxification occurs and allows. And so I'm allowing that movement to happen, and it's and I can literally. It's weird because when you have this on, it's literally like having it braced, but yet full function. And you don't want to lose function if you can keep function, right? Sometimes we're injured to a point of dysfunction, and we have to brace it and not move it. Broken bone, for example. But what we want is to be able to create movement. So I can now grab hold of the muscle fiber, and I can mobilize, and I can stretch and aggravate blood flow to come to this area and heal it faster. So this is just a neat little tool called K-tape. Dr. Amber does quite a bit of K-taping in our office. Molly does K-taping in our office. I do K-taping. And so, these are just tools, and there's plenty of YouTube videos on how to do this yourself. And Molly did a great one for me the other day. I modeled hers a little bit because now I figured out specifically what muscle it was. And so I was able to get more specific, and it's pretty awesome. So, being creative and not getting locked in a box. There is no perfect way to tape. I know, you go to all these taping classes that I've been to, and they say, "Oh, this is the exact way." No, there's more than one way to skin a cat. Don't get dogmatic. What diet works for me doesn't necessarily work for you. What supplemental regimen I'm on, it isn't necessarily going to work for you. And so I don't cookie cutter stuff, and that's what makes my job very difficult, because every patient comes in with their problem, their challenge, their issue, and we have to then build a recipe for them. And because you can't get, if you follow a chocolate chip cookie recipe, you can't get sugar cookies. You know what I mean? If you follow a chocolate cake recipe, you can't get kolaches.
I thought you were going to say if you follow a chocolate chip cookie diet. I was like, there's a chocolate chip cookie diet? Like, that's the one that we need to try.
There is a Twinkie diet out there, and it's a foolishness, but whatever. You can't put artificial rocket fuel into an engine that can't handle that. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
You can't put make-believe food into the living vessel and expect it to perform well. It is foolishness to think.
Yeah, so it was Susie Foster who asked about the K-tape, and then here's another comment.
She's so observant, Susie. I love you. Thank you for being so observant. See, so she's somebody that's been in my life. Her and her husband Matt, great people, and that she presses me, and he presses me. They just call it like it is, and I love people that call it like it is, and they just say their curiosity is such, and they care enough to ask. You know what I mean? And how often do we go through life and stuff's going on in people's world, and we don't even recognize that somebody's burdened, somebody's challenged? Like, for example, I'll share this little, just observatory story. Somebody at church said on Sunday, they hadn't seen their neighbor. Well, they saw their neighbor outside moving around, and they call out to him and say, "Hey, neighbor, what's going on?" Da 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 da. And the neighbor goes, "Oh, you wouldn't believe it. The last 15 weeks has been a living hell for me." And I said, and they said, "Really? What happened?" Because she's like, "Oh, is it COVID? Do I need to run?" Everybody's freaking out. And she goes, "I have had this disease and that, and this happened and that happened." And it wasn't she had COVID. She had a real illness, a real ailment, a real health crisis. And the neighbor said, "I felt terrible because for 15 weeks, I literally drove past this woman's house every day. I walked my own animals past her house every day, and I never, ever considered that I hadn't seen them doing life at all outside in 15 weeks. I never checked on them. For all I know, they could have been dead, hung over their sink countertop, and that's just the way we are a lot of times. Even when we're in a world right now where we're not as busy as we once were, because before all this, we could all say busy, right? Being under Satan's yoke is really what that means. But now Most of us are at home. Most of us are working from home. Heck, I've even heard of businesses that are booming in profit sales because they are working from home. It's changed the entire game of business. I've also heard the others where they're not in business anymore, sadly. But how often do we miss little opportunities to check on people? Check on your neighbors, check on your friends, family, loved ones. Speak life into people. Don't give up on people. Always invite them to come alongside you. It's okay if they don't, but give a shot. Give a shout out. Reach out. And be present and be real, be raw. We don't have time for sugarcoating. We don't have time for all this politically correct nonsense. We need to speak truth. The truth, the Bible says, will set you free, and nothing less. And so, when I get on the air, I do restrain, some of my rawness. But that's, for the sake of what has to be. There is a level of I have to keep confidentiality. I have to make sure I'm not, violating certain HIPAA laws. I really don't want to bash any company that is a business, because I am proud of the fact that we can have businesses. And so I'm real cautious, of trying to say the right things. And that was always one of my biggest fears. I don't speak to downplay somebody else's market. I speak from my experiences. And so, like, if people are promoting food that is blatantly poisonous as a health food, and you're hiring celebrities, you're hiring movie sports gurus to promote it, and that person's willing to sign on the dotted line a contract to promote something that is obviously unhealthy, or come on, look at what you're promoting. It's your reputation. That's your name. That's why I love Michael Jordan, right? And he was always Gatorade, and Gatorade's sugar water to me, but at least he got into shoes. You can market good shoes. He marketed underwear. You know what I mean? He got into things that you can be proud. Put on my Michael Jordan briefs, if you're a Michael Jordan follower, or you can get my MJ Jordans and rock, the streets with them. And so I think that we've got to be mindful. If you're going to promote something, make sure that when you put your stamp of approval to back it up, that it's really going to do what it's claiming to do. I'm never going to say that Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center can cure anything, diagnose anything. What we do is we fuel, we rehydrate, we remineralize, revitalize, we detoxify, we nourish people that are malnourished. We help people see the error in their way, in their path, and help them course correct. One degree of change leads to another degree of change leads to success. If you compile a bunch of these together, life goes on. Does that make sense?
It does. Makes good sense. Dr. Chapa, right now, let's see, it's 10:06, almost 10:07.
Perfect.
We've had a good time this morning, and we've been talking about, eat this, not that, looking at stuff on the shelves, reading the labels, and just kind of figuring out life as we go during a very unique time in our history. Is there anything else that you'd like to share this morning?
Yes, I would, and thank you for being my clock this morning. Since
you don't have your phone,
I don't have. I have no clocks, no pocket watches, nothing to hold me accountable, and I will just sit here for hours, buddy. So thank you for that. And number one, Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center wants to be a health and wellness resource. We want to give you answers to your problems from an upstream perspective. We want to go find the root cause of why your body's breaking down and how we can help get you back on the fast track. Everything matters. Your diet really matters. What you put in your mouth, what you drink matters. And we want to make sure that you're fueling that. Next week, we have a seminar, 6:30 on Tuesday, where we're going to be talking about eat this, not that. We're going to go through the top 10 list. We're going to go through the 4 deadly food additives. We've got some cool promotions for those that want to attend. Make sure that you tune in and you're on our newsletter list. Call our office to get on that newsletter list. Go to our website, get on that newsletter list, and let us know how we can serve you best. Guys, if you don't know and you don't ask, that's what we would call the stupid question. Ask the questions. Ask the questions. Ask the questions. We won't ever shun you for asking questions. We're going to just answer the question over and over and over until you get it. We'll answer it a different way. We'll give you a different parable. We'll give you a different narrative. We'll help you figure out how to get it into your head so that it makes sense, and then we'll give you ideas on how to apply it. A lot of times it just comes down to willing and able. We want to teach you how to be able so that your willingness and able graph match, and success is the result. So at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, we believe all life starts and stops at the cellular level, and nutrition is and always will be the fundamental backbone for allowing your body to either spiral out of control into disease land or to get traction and be transformed into transformative medicine, into the better version of you tomorrow, which is a healthy, vibrant human that can do great and mighty things for Jesus Christ. And I pray that everyone that hears my voice know, first and foremost, the Lord is our healer. He is the great physician, and He is the same yesterday, today, and forever, and He wants to touch your life and build, and move you and shake you and rattle you towards a new way of living, a new way of thinking. And that Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center wants to come in and help guide the principles that are necessary in blueprinting how you're going to stay healthy, live healthy, and be healthy one bite at a time.
This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. Hey, Facebook, YouTube. Thank you all for taking the time to tune in. If you haven't subscribed to KHEA Radio's YouTube, go do that
Right now.
Go
That's
do
right.
it right now. And y'all have a good day.